Hello everyone. Today we will explore a famous check-in spot located in the northwest of Hong Kong with a very poetic name, the Green Tunnel. This place is designed low in an arc shape, its surface covered with concave and convex corrugated metal sheets under the sunlight. These metal sheets reflect light, creating various shades of green, light, and dark, bringing a magical and mysterious visual effect. The Green Tunnel is likened to Hong Kong's version of the famous Tunnel of Love in Ukraine. So this place has also become a romantic sanctuary in the hearts of many couples. They walk hand in hand through the tunnel and exchange sincere vows, but the peaceful romance of the daytime is completely opposite to the scene when night falls, when darkness envelops. The fresh green color of the tunnel seems to have its life force drained, replaced by a gloomy, eerie atmosphere that chills people to the bone. Because a horrific murder once happened here. The story begins on Saturday, December 11, 1999. At a barbecue restaurant in Ngo Tau Kok, Kwun Tong District, the lights were bright. The fragrant aroma of grilled meat spread throughout the space. The merry laughter of diners mingled with the sizzling sound of meat on the charcoal stove, creating a very lively atmosphere. This was a fairly famous barbecue spot, and today the Ho family was having a gathering here. They gathered around a large round table. On the table, many tempting dishes were laid out. Even more captivating under the lights, however, everyone hesitated, not yet picking up their chopsticks. The reason? Because there was one empty chair at the dining table. The main character of this family gathering, Howard Ho, had not yet arrived. Seeing this, his girlfriend, Tina Chen, immediately called him, but no one answered the phone. Time passed. Howard Ho was still nowhere to be found. A sense of unease began to rise in Tina Chen's heart. Her boyfriend had clearly known and agreed to attend this family gathering. Why would he suddenly disappear like this? Not long after, a series of numbers appeared on her phone screen. She hurriedly answered. The voice on the other end sounded mumbled, saying that Howard Ho was busy fixing something and would call back later. This call from this strange number not only failed to calm Tina Chen's anxiety, but instead made her even more restless. The voice of the person on the other end sounded quite familiar to Howard Ho, but Tina Chen was completely unfamiliar with this voice. She racked her brain, but couldn't remember who it was, because Howard Ho had a sudden urgent matter. The Ho family decided not to wait any longer. The atmosphere at the dining table was still lively. Everyone chatted while eating, however. The empty chair still made everyone feel that something was missing. The atmosphere was a bit awkward until after dinner and returning home. Tina Chen still hadn't received a call back from her boyfriend. She recounted the incident to Howard Ho's parents. After discussion, all three felt the matter was serious, so they decided to report it to the police. Howard Ho, 22 years old, was the only son in the family, lived in Ngo Tau Kok, worked as a watch repairman, and worked with his girlfriend in Sim Sha Sui. On the morning of that day, Howard Ho received a phone call and then disappeared without a trace. Being a watch repairman for many years, he had a very high discipline regarding time. If there was an urgent matter and he couldn't make an appointment, he would usually inform in advance. A situation like this had never happened. His family worried that he had met with misfortune. Since the time of disappearance was not long, and there was no evidence that Howard Ho was in danger, the police still couldn't find any clues. The next 2 days passed. Howard Ho was still missing. On the 14th, Tina Chen suddenly remembered that she and her boyfriend had a joint bank account, so she went to the bank to check if there were any recent transactions. When she saw the account balance, Tina Chen couldn't help but be astonished. During the days Howard Ho was missing, from the 11th to the 14th, the bank card of this account had been used multiple times to withdraw cash. The total amount withdrawn reached 73,000 Hong Kong dollars, equivalent to about 219 million Vietnamese dong. Howard Ho was not a wasteful spender. If he needed to use a large sum of money, he would definitely discuss it with his girlfriend. At this moment, Tina Chen was sure that her boyfriend had encountered misfortune. She hurriedly reported this news to the police. The police immediately launched an investigation at several banks and obtained surveillance footage from ATMs. The footage showed that the person withdrawing money was not Howard Ho, but a young woman. Tina Chen confirmed she had never seen this woman before. When the investigation expanded, the police discovered that it wasn't just one person withdrawing money, but a criminal group consisting of several young men and women, around 20 years old. Through Howard Ho's call log, the police identified 5 suspects, including 3 men and 2 women. 12 days after Howard Ho disappeared, the police successfully arrested all 5 suspects at locations such as Yo Ma Te and Tuen Mun. They admitted to being involved in Howard Ho's disappearance. The leader of this group was named Victor Chan, 23 years old. His parents divorced when he was young. Then his father died in an accident. His mother remarried and moved elsewhere, leaving him to live with his grandmother. When arrested, Victor Chan had no stable job and lived in poverty. Victor Chan met Howard Ho during a chance encounter at a bar. Their relationship wasn't close, just casual acquaintances. In Victor Chan's eyes, Howard Ho's image was completely opposite to his own every time he appeared at the bar. Howard Ho dressed luxuriously, spent money generously, wore designer watches, and used the latest model phones. Victor Chan once borrowed money from Howard Ho, and he agreed without hesitation. This further convinced Victor Chan that Howard Ho was a wealthy person, while he himself, from a poor background, felt even more inferior. Before the crime occurred, Victor Chan lived with his girlfriend in a rented house. During that time, for some unknown reason, they had a dispute with the landlord and were asked to move out. Victor Chan's meager savings were not enough to pay for a new rental. In desperation, he thought of Howard Ho, who looked wealthy, and began to plan his actions. But the truth was, everything Howard Ho showed on the outside was a requirement of his profession, not his actual life. Watch repairing was considered a high-end profession. The craftsman not only needed good skills, but also a professional appearance to match. Therefore, many watch repairmen often dressed neatly, wore designer watches to build a high-end image, aiming to build trust with customers. After a few days of planning, Victor Chan began to act. On December 11th, he called Howard Ho, lying that his grandmother had an old watch that needed repairing and wanted him to take a look. Immediately, the location was Tai Keng Lang Village. Howard Ho believed it to be true. After receiving the call, he immediately went to the appointed place. Victor Chan chose this location because it was indeed his grandmother's house, but it had been uninhabited for a long time. Moreover, this place was quite remote, with few passers-by, about 20 kilometers from Ngo Tau Kok, where Howard Ho lived. Even if something happened, his family would find it difficult to discover immediately. Then Victor Chan called 2 more friends, Daisy Fong and Leo Lau. All 3 went to the house in Tai Keng Lang Village. Daisy Fong and Leo Lau were already ambushing on both sides of the entrance. Their mission was to subdue Howard Ho as soon as he arrived. Victor Chan hid in a hidden corner, waiting for the prey to fall into the trap. Not long after, Howard Ho walked into the house. Before he could compose himself, he was tied tightly by Daisy Fong and Leo Lau with leather straps and ropes. Victor Chan then appeared, strutting arrogantly towards Howard Ho, searched him and took his phone, pager, and wallet. In the wallet, there were several bank cards and some cash. Seeing that what he wanted was in hand, the 3 surrounded Howard Ho, forcing him to reveal his bank card passwords. Faced with the aggressive thugs, Howard Ho, though terrified, thought about the money in the card, which he had worked hard to earn. So he resolutely refused to utter a word. Seeing that threats didn't work, Victor Chan took a pillow and pressed it on Howard Ho's head, then used a stick to beat him. Under the brutal blows, Howard Ho couldn't bear the pain and was forced to nod out the password of one of the bank cards. Victor Chan was overjoyed, immediately sent his girlfriend and Leo Lau's girlfriend to take a taxi to the bank to withdraw money. At the same time, he continued to force Howard Ho to reveal the passwords of the remaining cards. But this time, it wasn't so easy. Howard Ho seemed to gain strength, resolutely refusing to speak. Seeing this, Victor Chan used a rope to tighten around Howard Ho's neck, seemingly wanting to strangle him to death. But even so, he still couldn't get an answer. Next, Victor Chan used a rope to strangle Howard Ho from behind. Daisy Fong continuously kicked him from the front, while Leo Lau punched his stomach and waist. After that, Howard Ho was even tortured with a shoe sole. Blood splattered onto Victor Chan's clothes and onto the surrounding walls. In excruciating pain and terror, Howard Ho finally broke down, revealing his bank card passwords in exchange for a brief moment of peace. After withdrawing the money, Victor Chan divided the illicit sum of over 70,000 Hong Kong dollars, about over 100 million dong, among the group. As the mastermind and leader, he took 37.0 Hong Kong dollars for himself, about over 110 million dong. The remaining amount was divided equally between Daisy Fong and Leo Lau. Then the three discussed how to deal with Howard Ho. Because Victor Chan knew Howard Ho, to prevent the crime from being exposed, they decided to kill him to silence him. Victor Chan held Howard Ho tightly, while Daisy Fong and Leo Lau strangled him until he died, while Howard Ho struggled. His phone and pager rang many times, all calls from his girlfriend. To delay the time the crime would be discovered, Victor Chan used mumbled words to respond to Howard Ho's girlfriend. Next, another difficult problem arose before them: how to dispose of Howard Ho's body. They racked their brains and finally decided on a disposal method that would be hard to detect. Victor Chan found a villager in Tai Keng Lang village, gave him 500 Hong Kong dollars, about 15 million dong, to ask him to buy a large barrel, often used to store chemicals, while he and Leo Lau went to the store to buy detergent, cement, alcohol, and some other items, then used a rented cart to transport everything back to the house. The next evening, the three went to the village's garbage collection point, burned Howard Ho's wallet, ID card, bank cards, and Victor Chan's blood-stained shirt. Then they stripped Howard Ho's body, stuffed his body into the barrel, head down on top. They covered it with Howard Ho's clothes, towels, and some other miscellaneous items, then poured a large amount of cement into the barrel, added water, and stirred well. Waiting for the cement to harden, they closed the lid of the barrel and sealed it tightly with an iron lock. The plan of the three was to move this 200 kilograms heavy barrel to the waste disposal area of Tai Keng Lang village, but unexpectedly, this barrel was so heavy that even with all three of them carrying it, it was very difficult. They walked and rested, but still hadn't reached the place when passing by the entrance of the pedestrian tunnel mentioned at the beginning of the story. A villager happened to pass by and curiously asked what they were doing. The three panicked, hurriedly pushed the barrel into the roadside ditch and fled. The villager didn't pay much attention. The three returned to the house, used detergent to clean the entire house, erasing traces. Having obtained a large sum of money, all three were very happy, even went to sing karaoke to celebrate Leo Lau's girlfriend's birthday. After hearing the confessions of the suspects, the police immediately went to the crime scene at the house in Tai Keng Lang village. They found unused cement and detergent. At the village's garbage collection point, they found Howard Ho's burnt wallet and watch. And in the roadside ditch near the entrance of the tunnel in Tai Keng Lang village, they discovered the prominent barrel, dark green with a black lid, 12 meters high. Due to the remote location of the ditch, with few passers-by, the barrel had not yet been discovered by anyone. Faced with the cement-filled and tightly sealed barrel, the police had to request assistance from firefighters. When the lid of the barrel was opened, a strong stench emanated. The barrel was then moved to the forensic center so that the body could be removed as intact as possible. Firefighters brought pneumatic tools, however. The coroner believed that this type of heavy machinery could damage the body. Finally, they had to use small saws, chisels, screwdrivers, and other tools to cut the barrel, then carefully chipped away each piece of cement. Because the cement adhered tightly to the decomposing body, in some places even hair was stuck, so removing the body was extremely difficult. Throughout this process, the firefighters had to apply medicated oil to their masks to overcome the stench. The more they chipped, the more pieces of cement were removed and piled up into a large heap outside the forensic center. It had to be carted away 7 times. Some pieces of cement even clearly imprinted the shape of the victim's head and fingers, looking very gruesome. Under the guidance of the pathologist, after 3 hours of effort, The body was finally removed completely. The victim's limbs were grotesquely twisted. There were multiple wounds on his head. His cervical vertebrae were broken. His body and face showed signs of being burned, difficult to identify, however. Howard Ho had quite distinctive teeth, congenitally missing 6 teeth. Thanks to this dental feature and his toes, his father was able to confirm that the victim was indeed his son. Pained by the immense loss, Howard Ho's father was extremely sorrowful. He said his son was very filial to his parents, had no bad habits whatsoever, was the economic pillar of the family. His passing was a huge shock to the Ho family. Howard Ho's father earnestly requested the court to severely punish the heinous criminals to comfort the spirit of his unfortunate son. In this case, Victor Chan's girlfriend and Leo Law's girlfriend were only responsible for withdrawing money, completely unaware of the source of that money. It wasn't until they were arrested that they knew they had participated in a criminal activity. Through investigation, the police confirmed the 2 women's statements were true, considering that these 2 had actively cooperated during the investigation. The Hong Kong Department of Justice decided not to pursue criminal charges against them. 2 years after the incident, in July 2001, the case was brought to trial at the Hong Kong High Court. The 3 defendants, Victor Chan, Daisy Fong, and Leo Lau, were charged with murder and obstructing the lawful burial of a body. At the trial, Victor Chan changed his testimony, stating that he did not intentionally kill Howard Ho, but it was manslaughter. He claimed he had no financial difficulties. His monthly income was up to 40,000 Hong Kong dollars, about over 12 billion dong, so he had no motive to rob. He recalled that before the incident, Howard Ho had offered to come and repair a watch for him, but the 2 could not agree on the repair cost, so a conflict arose. Moreover, Howard Ho was also addicted to gambling and had borrowed 39,000 Hong Kong dollars, about 117 million dong, from him but never repaid it. Although Victor Chan repeatedly demanded repayment, he only received 2,000 Hong Kong dollars, about 6 million dong. The anger in his heart grew. To recover the debt, he, along with Daisy Fong and Leo Lau, kidnapped Howard Ho, intending to use this method to force him to pay. However, the situation went beyond his control. During the kidnapping, Howard Ho struggled free and grabbed a wooden stick to attack, injuring Victor Chan on the forehead. He flew into a rage, snatched the stick from Howard Ho's hand, and hit him repeatedly on the head. Howard Ho was beaten until his head bled, cried out for help, and tried to run to the door. Seeing this, Victor Chan immediately rushed forward, using his hands to tightly grip Howard Ho's neck to prevent him from screaming. Unexpectedly, just a moment later, Howard Ho stopped breathing. Initially, Victor Chan thought Howard Ho had only fainted. Then he was horrified to discover he was dead. At that time, he was alone in the house. Daisy Fong and Leo Lau had gone out to buy food and withdraw money, not participating in killing Howard Ho when the other 2 returned. All 3 discussed and decided to secretly dispose of Howard Ho's body. What happened afterwards was similar to the initial testimony. When asked why his testimonies were inconsistent, Victor Chan became agitated, saying that the police had repeatedly beaten and coerced him during interrogation. What he had confessed earlier was not true. Daisy Fong and Leo Lau also agreed with Victor Chan's testimony, saying that when Howard Ho died, they were not at the scene. They also claimed that when arrested, they were beaten and lured by the police, forced to confess before the camera according to a script prepared by the police. The police firmly denied these allegations. The police considered them baseless accusations and affirmed that all statements collected before the official trial began were voluntarily provided by the 3 defendants. After hearing testimonies from both sides, the judge determined this was a particularly serious and brutal murder case. The defendants' criminal acts were by no means impulsive or momentary. However, the jury, consisting of 4 men and 3 women, seemed to have a different view. Notably, juries in Hong Kong usually consist of 7 people in criminal cases, requiring at least 5 jurors to agree to reach a lawful verdict. In this case, the jury deliberated for a record time of up to 34 hours. Finally, with a 5-to vote, the jury declared defendant Victor Chan had no intention to kill. The court then sentenced defendant Victor Chan not guilty of murder, but guilty of manslaughter. All three defendants were guilty of obstructing the lawful burial of a body. Victor Chan was sentenced to 16 years in prison. Daisy Fong and Leo Lau were each sentenced to 3 years and for months in prison. The verdict caused a public uproar. The media widely reported on this unexpected trial result. Howard Ho's mother collapsed when she learned the culprit was only convicted of manslaughter. She could not accept this result, wailing tragically outside the courthouse, "Unfair. My son died too unjustly." She also criticized the jury, requesting the judge to increase the punishment. Howard Ho's father also expressed dissatisfaction with the verdict. He believed that Victor Chan and his accomplices' criminal acts had shattered his family. It could not be considered mere manslaughter. He laughed bitterly, whereas justice, however. Defendant Victor Chan felt his sentence was too heavy compared to similar cases. He even said the judge was influenced by the agitated attitude of Howard Ho's parents at the trial, thus increasing the sentence. Conversely, public opinion held that this was a case of robbery, murder, and gruesome disposal of a body. Given the seriousness of the case, a 16-year prison sentence did not contravene sentencing principles. Notably, the judge presiding over this case was also the one who presided over the sensational Hello Kitty murder case. This case also occurred in 1999 and attracted public attention due to its brutality. We have analyzed this case before. If you are interested, you can rewatch that video. After the incident, the villagers of Tai Keng Leng village all felt the tunnel near where the barrel was found had become more terrifying. There were rumors that every night, mournful cries could be heard in the tunnel. Because this tunnel is a path frequently used by the villagers of Tai Keng Leng village, so, to enhance its aesthetics, it was renovated into a green corrugated iron arch tunnel. In 2004, Daisy Fong and Leo Lau were released from prison. In an interview with the press, Howard Ho's father still harbored resentment about the court's verdict. He said that on every Qingming festival and grave sweeping day, he would visit his son's grave to express his sorrow and helplessness. In 2017, Victor Chan completed his sentence. He changed his name, started a new life, ran a restaurant business, and was very successful after that. He not only bought a house and a car, but also got married. Some netizens found his restaurant's Facebook account and left comments. Rumor has it you committed manslaughter in a village house. Many years ago, even sent lawyer letters to related YouTube channels demanding their silence. Is that true? Victor Chan replied, "My mentality is stable now, no need to gag anyone." He also said he had turned over a new leaf, restarted his life. Even if others gossiped about his past, he wouldn't care anymore, however. Victor Chan's reply not only failed to calm public opinion, but also enraged many more people. Netizens continuously left comments criticizing his indifferent attitude. They believed he showed no remorse at all. Many argued that taking someone's life and then only serving a few years in prison to start a new life was too unfair to the victim. Some others commented that some sins will haunt a person for life. Victor Chan's actions would never be forgiven, therefore. Many netizens went to his restaurant's Facebook page to leave negative comments, aiming to deter other customers from going to the restaurant. These comments were all very harsh, such as, "The smell of blood is hard to forget in a lifetime. Truly a murderer's restaurant. The murderer owner's food smells of blood. The owner has a very bad attitude, is a cold-blooded murderer," and so on. The incident escalated. Much information about Victor Chan after his release was also exposed. There were rumors that after his release, he did not repent, but continued his aggressive, thuggish behavior. His current peaceful life was just a facade because he was married. He had to restrain his behavior, however. Some netizens argued that as long as the restaurant's food was good, there was no need to care about the owner's private life. This sparked a heated debate online. Finally, Victor Chan had to disable the comment function to appease public opinion. Today, the Green Tunnel in Yuanlong is still a sanctuary of love, where couples exchange romantic vows. But every time night falls, that eerie green color seems to recount the story of a wronged soul buried in cement. Time passes. The truth may be buried, but the dark shadows, like that green tunnel, will perhaps forever be etched in people's minds. The Howard Ho case is a chilling reminder of the dark side of human nature, of crimes that can be nurtured even under the most ordinary facade. The story of the Green Tunnel, from a romantic spot, suddenly became a symbol of obsession and mystery, making people ponder the fragile line between good and evil, between a glamorous appearance and a brutal reality. Did Victor Chen truly repent? Did the years in prison wash away his sins? Or is he just hiding his true nature under the guise of a successful man? Perhaps the answer will forever remain a mystery. But one thing is certain: no matter how much time passes, this horrific murder case will remain an indelible scar in the memory of Hong Kong people. And the story of the Green Tunnel will still be told as a warning to those who disregard the lives of others. Today's video ends here, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.